Hey, what is up guys? Andy here with a YouTube video, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make a TV Ambilight. Alright, so the first thing you're going to need to do is get all the parts. Now I'm going to have all the parts down in the description below, and it'll help me out a ton if you use the affiliate links that I have to help support the channel. But the first thing you're going to need is the power adapter, and depending on how many LEDs you use, it will determine how big of a power supply you're going to need. But if you follow the exact same steps that I do in this video, then the power adapter I have will work just fine. So you're going to need the power adapter. You're also going to need a video capture card with a loop, preferably. You're going to need the wiring in order to connect the Pi to the LEDs. You're going to need an HDMI splitter to remove the HDCP so that you can move it on into the video capture loop. You're also going to need a HDMI switch if you want to have like a Fire Stick along with like a PlayStation, DVD. If you want to have multiple inputs so you can have this with multiple different things, you're going to want to switch so that you have multiple ways of using it. You're also going to need the LEDs, obviously. You're also going to need the Fire Stick or a Roku or the PlayStation, whatever you're going to use to have this light show for, along with having a USB hub that can supply power to at least have, it needs at least 3 USB ports. Preferably, you'd probably want like 4 or 5 just in case if you wanted to have something else back there. For this video, I only have 3, so that'll work. And you're also going to need at least 3 HDMI cables. I would suggest getting ones that are shorter, probably around 2 feet, 1 foot maybe, so you don't have as much cables just dangling in the back of your TV. Okay, so for this next step, we're going to be powering the Pi and the LEDs using the power adapter. One thing I forgot to mention, when you get the power adapter, if you don't use the one that I have, you want to make sure that it has a barrel connector and that it also comes with one of these suckers. So that you can like hardwire things directly to it using the barrel connector on the power adapter, and you can power this. So just keep that in mind. So you want to power, we're going to be powering this along with LED strips using this, and the way we're going to do that is by getting one of the micro USB power cords you have here, and you're going to cut off the end of it with the USB side. This side. We want to keep this because we're going to be powering it, but we want to cut this open here. So you're going to cut it off, and whenever you take back whatever, this had some braid on it, so once I took that back, it's going to look something like this. It's going to have 4 cables usually, unless it's just completely charged. And what you're going to want to do is snip off the green or the white. We don't need that. Most of the time, it's going to be black is going to be ground, red is going to be power, and those are the only 2 things we need to power the Pi. So go ahead and snip off these green things. Don't worry about those. And what you're gonna do is, using some wire strippers, you're gonna strip back, if it'll focus, you're gonna strip back the red and the black a little bit. And also on the LED strip, on the end that has, well, I'll show you here. On the end that has this thing here, so this is one side, this is important. You wanna make sure it looks like that and not like this. Don't make sure it doesn't, it's not a female connector, if it'll focus. Make sure it's not like a female connector like that, but it looks like this. On that side of it, there's gonna be something very similar to this side, but it's gonna have the male connector instead of the female. And you're gonna see these 2, the white and the red wire. These are your positive and your negative. What you're gonna wanna do is also strip these back a little bit. And then what you're gonna do is, if I can find it, you're going to combine oh, if I don't drop it, you're going to combine the red wire on the USB cable to the red wire on the LED strip, along with the white wire on the, I don't know why it's not focusing, my apologies. You're gonna connect the white wire on the LED strip to the white wire on the micro USB cable. And then once you have those 2, you're just gonna combine them, as in like just twist the cables together, the raw copper wires they're hanging out, just twist them together. For those of you that know what I'm talking about, there you go. But I will leave a little, like an image of what I'm talking about on the screen somewhere around here. But once you have them combined together, you're going to stick them. So if you look closely on here, where's it at? Oh, there it is. It's on the black part. Basically, there is a positive and a negative. Red is gonna be in the positive hole, and white is gonna be in the negative hole. And you're just gonna get a little screwdriver and tighten those down to clamp them in there. And once you've done that, you should have something like this, where one cable is coming out. Oh, I'm having a hard time focusing here. One cable is coming out that will power the Pi here, and the other cable is coming out to power the LED strips. And just like that. This later on, we'll talk about this later on, but that is to, the information for the LEDs. But once you have that wired up, like this, you can go ahead and plug in your Raspberry Pi with the micro SD put into the Raspberry Pi. Make sure that you plug in the Raspberry Pi here, and then you can go ahead and wire your LED strips. And the crucial part here is, whenever you wire these LED strips, you're gonna wanna count how many you have on each side. So on the front of the TV here, this side will be the left side, that side will be the right side. And so what you're gonna do, when you put these LED strips on, you're gonna wanna make sure you count how many you have from on the left side, how many you have on the right side, the top, and the bottom. One thing here, if you wanna make it nice and fancy, you can get these, but for people that don't know much about it, I wouldn't deal with it. Sometimes these are a little finicky. So what you can do is just pretty much run it all the way around. So basically, when you get to a corner, just fold it over on itself and then just keep going along. Because sometimes they're not always exactly on point and they can have problems. Like I had some, when I bought these, I had a problem where they were starting to melt. Like, I don't know, it was just having a problem. So I actually just got different ones, and so I wouldn't even bother with these personally if you just don't want to fool with it. Just run them all along the sides here. But once you've done that, you want to write down somewhere how many LEDs you have on the top, how many's on the left side, how many's on the right, and how many's on the bottom. Once you have that, you can go ahead and plug in the Raspberry Pi into the micro USB, and then plug in your LEDs, and then set it all up, and we're gonna SSH onto it from our computer. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention before we actually SSH into it on our computer is this is what I use to keep it on the back of the TV, and then I put mine like right here. But what you wanna do, the next step before we actually get onto it, is you wanna get that wire I was talking about from these things, the male to female, get you one of them, okay? And on the male side, so this side, on the side where we were talking about, where we stripped it, on this one here, the middle wire is the information wire, okay? So you wanna get the male thing here, the male side, and plug it into the middle wire there. Can't do this one-handed, this is where a tripod would be nice. But, so I plugged it in there, just like that, make sure it's plugged in. And on the other side here, on the Pi, we're gonna be connecting to GPIO 18, which is the where we're gonna be able to give information to the LED strips on what they need to do and when. So if you're looking at the Pi like this, right? On the top row, you're gonna wanna plug into the 6th one. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, so I'm gonna plug it in right there. So on pin 16 on the top row, that is where you want this thing plugged in. And then you're just gonna go ahead and stick it on the back of your TV, like I did mine. Get it on there good. So now it's stuck in, and this is plugged in here. Make sure that we power the Pi. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this and plug it into the micro USB, like that. So now it's powered, the Pi, or it's ready to be powered. And then we're just gonna connect this to our barrel connector here. Oh, okay. So now there should be a red LED pop up and it'll flash green. And I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure when it flashes green, that means it's connecting to your Wi-Fi network. So if you see it flash green like that and it stays a solid green, that's when you know that it will be connected, that it's gonna be that is connected to your Wi-Fi. So now we can actually get over to our computer and we'll be able to remotely connect into this bad boy. All right, so now that you've got your micro SD card plugged into your micro SD card reader, which is plugged into the USB port on your computer, you're gonna wanna navigate to these two websites. I will have links to everything in the description. I will literally have it step by step, what you need to click, what you need to download, everything in the description so that it's a pretty easy, straightforward process for you. So you wanna go to this website here, the Hyperbion GitHub, along with the Balena Etcher, I'm not sure I'm saying that correctly for y'all, but the Balena Etcher website, and you're gonna wanna download both of these. So on the Hyperbion, make sure you click on the hyperbion.zip, and on the Balena Etcher one, you're gonna make sure you click download for Windows. I guess if you're running Mac OS, I'm not sure if that's gonna work for there, so I'm running through Windows, but that's what I did. So make sure you download both these like I have done here, and then make sure you've installed the Balena Etcher setup. So just click that, install it, and for the for the Hyperbion, whenever you open this, what you're gonna wanna do is just drag this to your desktop, which I've already done here. So just pretty much whenever you open this up, the Hyperbion.zip, you're gonna open it and drag this over to your desktop like I've done here. And then what you're gonna do is open Balena Etcher. And on Balena Etcher, it's gonna look just like this. And what you wanna do is gonna say flash from file. So you're gonna drag over the Hyperbion you just did, download or drag it over to the Balena Etcher here. And then it's gonna say select a target. And you're gonna wanna select your micro SD card here. And once it's selected, you just click flash. And it's gonna upload that .image Hyperbion OS, whatever you want to call it, to the micro SD card through Balena Etcher. Once it is done flashing, it'll flash, then it's going to say verifying. Once it's done flashing, it's going to pop up this. So this is your Hyperbion right here, okay? This is the files, the OS for what the Pi is going to be running from. So next what you want to do is you're going to, inside of it, so not inside overlays folder, but inside the actual folder here, it's gonna look just like this. You're gonna right click, not in here, but like just on the side here, and click new, and then you're gonna click new text document. And it's gonna pop up at the bottom here. You're gonna right click there, rename it to SSH, just like that. And it's gonna look just like this. What you're gonna do is gonna open it, and you're literally gonna press the space bar one time. Just click space, click file, click save, you're done. That's all you're gonna do for there. The next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna have to upload the WPA_supplicant.conf file. So what you can do here is basically right click on your desktop, click new text document, name it, or actually we can just go in here, open the new text document, right? And you're going to paste this into here. So let me go ahead and copy this, paste this. I'm gonna have this in the description as well. You're gonna copy and paste this. And what you're gonna wanna do here is change your Wi-Fi. So the network, what you're gonna change in this folder here is change Wi-Fi name to whatever your Wi-Fi name is. So whatever it may be, change it to that, and the PSK is your Wi-Fi password. So then change your Wi-Fi password and make sure it is within these quotations here, or else it will not work. So have your Wi-Fi name here and your Wi-Fi password here. Once you're done with that, click File, click Save As. You're gonna navigate to your boot here, the same place we were a second ago, and you're gonna make sure you save the file type as all files, and then on the file name, just like this, WPA_supplicant.conf, just like this. Save it as that, click Save As, and that's basically gonna allow you to automatically connect. It's gonna automatically connect to the Wi-Fi network, and you're not gonna have to go in. It's gonna make it completely headless. Once that's done, once you've saved that in there, since I've already done it, I don't need to do this, and since I've already SSH'd into it, I don't need to do any of that. But once you've done all those files, for the most part, you are done with setting up the Pi. Okay, so let me go ahead and say this out there before people complain now. I apologize for the black electrical tape that I have on here now. There was a delayment on the shipment, but I have some wall wire cable management things coming in that will make that look all nice and pretty, but that's just temporary, so I don't have cable just hanging out everywhere. But I went ahead and put everything up where I wanted it on the back of my TV. So if you want to pause the video so you can kind of see an idea of where everything should be. The way I have the layout here is so that I have enough space for me to be able to power these things and everything to work out correctly. But another thing is I have really long HDMI cables, so I had to space everything out or else it was gonna be all a big bunched up mess. So what you wanna do here first is I'll just go through everything and then tell you where everything should be plugged in so you can follow the layout. So first things first, this thing needs to be within reach of the Pi. So the USB that comes with this, you want to go ahead and plug it in, and you're going to plug that thing into one of the USB ports on the Pi. And then what you're going to do here is this is the output side. If you can see there, the output here, this is the last step. This output here is actually going to go straight to the HDMI ports to one of the HDMI ports on my TV. So this is the last step. Plug this into there on the output. Then that's what I'm just making sure you know that's what they're here. So for the USB hub, I have it here so that I can power the switch, the splitter, and my Fire Stick, which is right here. They all use micro USB, and they're all within reach of here, so it makes it easy. So what you want to do here is, so this is where you're going to have your Fire Stick or PlayStation, whatever connects to the switch. Plug it into one of the inputs here, and then from the output spot on the let me turn it this way. The output spot on the switch, connect it to the splitter. So this is where it strips this DHCP. Sorry, wrong side. On here, so you're gonna see the. So this will be my inputs here, 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 and here, here, and here, and that is my output right there. So what you're gonna do is plug it into one of these. So from here, this thing here, the switch is gonna connect to the splitter through HDMI, and just one of them. We're only gonna use one of these ports. I know this was a little bit overkill, but this is the only one I could find at Walmart. But so from this HDMI from here, from the output here to one of the inputs on the splitter, and then from the splitter's output, which is right there, you're gonna connect it to the input on the video capture loop, and then you are pretty much set up for the HDMIs. So you're gonna have one HDMI going from here, one HDMI going from here, and one HDMI going from, one from here. So 1, 2, 3. So 3 there for this setup. Also, like I said, if you want to plug in your PlayStation, that'll be another one here. And I'm not really counting this. This is just an HDMI to plug into there. But then once you've got that set up, you just want to power everything. So there's gonna be a power for this, a power for my Fire Stick, a power for this, and a power for that. Like I said earlier, I tried powering this and this to my Pi using the other USB ports, but this took up more power than that thing could supply. It's above a certain amp, so I just went ahead and I'm powering it through this thing here. I believe, yeah. I'm powering it from this thing here to here, and that's pretty much it for the setup here. And I'm gonna go ahead and step back. And I also, once I'm done wiring thing, I'll take another, a screenshot so you can see what it looks like after I've wired everything. Okay, so now that we have the Raspberry Pi plugged into the power source, the LEDs are also powered, what we're gonna do is now we're gonna connect to the Raspberry Pi. So what we're gonna do here is you wanna access your router, and if you don't know how to do that, there are plenty of videos out there. Basically, you're gonna type in something on your web address like 192.168.0.1 or 192.168.1.1. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna navigate through your router website. Once you've logged into it and everything, the password to the router will be on the bottom of your router usually. So that's how you're gonna log in. But once you get in, you're gonna find the page somewhere that's gonna have your connected devices. I have some of these blurred out here, but basically what we're gonna wanna focus on is this one right here. This is Hyperbion. This is what we just installed on the micro SD card, and this is what we're gonna need to know. The thing we're going to know mainly though is the IP address here. So 192.168.0.41 is the IP address for Hyperbion, and that is what we need to know in order to access the remote server for the change the LEDs. Sorry. So what you're going to do is you're going to open another browser here, and you're going to type in 192.168.0.41:8090. Make sure you have the port set at 8090. It's going to be a colon after the 41 colon 8090. And just like I said earlier, it won't always be 4.41. It's going to be different for everybody. But once you have that, make sure you do a colon 8090, which is the port number in order to access the Hyperbion. So you're going to click enter, and it should, if you've done everything correctly, come to this website right here. And this is us connecting remotely into the Raspberry Pi in order to control the LEDs. So the first thing you're gonna do when you get on this website is you're gonna click on the top right-hand corner and you're gonna click the settings level in here, and you're gonna click this and make sure it's set to expert and click save and reload. This will allow you to change all kinds of different settings that you wouldn't normally be able to do if you were on the default setting. So once you've done that, you wanna go to the dashboard here, since we're already on, and next you're gonna go to the configuration tab and go to general. And this is just gonna have some different things that you're gonna need, or just make sure you follow these settings, what I'm doing here. For the instance, it's gonna say, I think it's gonna say default or something. I just went ahead and renamed mine to GPIO 18. No, so that way I know that this instance here is through that wire that we plugged into the Pi. The next thing you're gonna know here, go to the LED hardware subtab, and on this here, this is important as well. On the controller type, make sure when you scroll down, you go to RPI PMW, and it's gonna be the WS2812X, which is for our 2812B LED strips. Once you've made sure you've connected there, you're gonna go down to the hardware LED count, and you're gonna make sure, remember whenever you counted all the LEDs, make sure you add all the LEDs from all 4 sides together, and that is how many you're gonna have here. You're gonna put this number in here, and then for the RGB byte order, usually it's gonna either be RGB or GRB. For mine, it was the GRB, so most likely if you use everything that I put in the description below, it's gonna be GRB for you as well. So make sure you set that here. Maximum LED count is gonna be the same thing as the hardware LED count. GPIO 18 should stay the same there. All that should stay the same. That should stay, everything else here should be normal. Then you're gonna go to the LED layout here, and this is another part you're gonna have to work on. So now, whenever I said write everything down for how many LEDs you had on the top, bottom, left, you're gonna put all those in here. Make sure you have those here. Make sure reverse direction is turned off. Mine was turned on for whatever reason, and it was causing some confusion with how it was getting confused on where it should go. And then also, this is another important part, input position. So on my RGB LED strips, if you remember whenever we were working on the TV, that if you can see here, this is where the start of it is. So the black, this is your first LED. That's where it first, right after we powered it, the first LED starts in the bottom left-hand corner of the TV. So make sure that you have this position set to right here. And you can bring this up and down. Whenever you bring this up and down, it's gonna change the position of it. So mine was right there. So that's when you're gonna make sure that it is sitting at that exact spot or wherever you decide to power your LED. Once you've got that set done there, some people were asking about a matrix layout. This is the settings where you can do the matrix layout tab here, but I haven't done that. But once you've done that, make sure you click save layout along with saving your settings on here. I forgot to say that. Whenever you're doing the LED controller, make sure you save these settings here. Save your settings after everything, because sometimes they will not save. So click save layout. This is another thing. It also tells me the max power consumption. This is, after looking at it and watching some other videos, some people say that this is an over judgment. So like this is more than enough than what you're gonna need, but this is just like a max, absolute max. This is how much, without this many LEDs, this is what it's gonna use. That is, just make sure you have that in mind there. So everything here should be normal that we've done. On the capturing hardware subtab, you're gonna turn off enable platform capture, because this basically means it's gonna capture anything from the Raspberry Pi, but since we're doing everything through HDMI, we don't need that checked. And make sure you have enable USB capture. The priority levels here, basically whatever the lower number, the better. It's what it's gonna prioritize first. So 240 is lower than 250, so it's gonna prioritize this either way, even if this was checked, but just for the sake of it, uncheck this and click save settings. All these, left those the same, left these the same, everything here was normal. Trying to make sure anything else here that, so I had a problem with the device resolution. Sometimes it was, if it's not correct resolution, it's gonna sometimes have a delay to it. So for my Fire Stick, I had it actually set to custom resolution, and I had it 1024 and 768, so that it could keep just less processing that it would have to do. But you'll just kind of fool with it and tinker with it if it's going to have some problems, and just save your settings with whatever you find the best for you. For the effects, there's nothing really here that you're going to need to know unless you want to have a background effect color. So basically, whenever you're not watching a movie and that it's just sitting there, it's going to have some kind of effect. I just want mine off, I just have it off, because unless I'm watching a movie, I don't want it on. So I went ahead and turned that off. But I have the boot effect color thing on, so whenever I do turn it on, it'll do some cool effect, and that's when I know that it is turned on and it is ready. And you can change the duration and everything for there. The image processing, I don't think I messed with anything here. Oh, that's another thing. This also has black bar detection. So like if you're watching a cinematic movie, you know, those black bars that are on the top and the bottom of the screen, this will judge for those and take that into account whenever it's trying to do something. One thing I did change here though was from default, I changed it to classic. That was a little bit more accurate on black bar detection. And I have these settings for what I had there. Everything here, smoothing, basically it's not going to be flat, like the LEDs aren't going to be near as flashy, like it's not going to be like flashing, it's going to be more smooth and transitioning better. So that's what I have for the settings there, and I didn't change anything in the color calibration. Network services, didn't change anything here. Remote control, this is this is like the main thing that you're going to be using whenever you are controlling it. So basically I don't have any sources plugged in, so it's not showing up yet, but this is the main thing. When you want to make sure that these 4 things are turned on: USB capture, the LED device, the black bar detection, and smoothing. I wouldn't have these 3 things on, but this is what I have with these 4 things on. This is what's worked the best for me. And then that is pretty much it for the settings on here. Effects configurator, this is if you want to test some different settings. So like if you want to change some crazy effect just to have it see what it looks like, you can do that. But that's pretty much it for setting it up itself. Another thing you can also do in the top right hand corner is click this thing, and you can it'll show you a live video. Since I don't have my Fire Stick plugged in, you can't see it, but we're gonna set that up here in a minute. But if you click live video and it's green here, it should show you your screen here, or like your Fire Stick or whatever you have plugged in. But now that we've set up the Hyperion, we've set up the Raspberry Pi, now we're gonna go actually plug everything together and show you how everything should be laid out in order for this to be working correctly, and we are almost done. Okay, so I know it looks like a gigantic mess. That's why I also said that you want to have these, like the 2-foot, or even if you can get a 1-foot HDMI cable, that'd be great, because as you can see here, this to this, and it's like a freaking 5-foot cable, 4-foot cable. It just doesn't look that great. But I mean, nobody's gonna see this because it's on the back of the TV, but if this drives you nuts, you want to take that into consideration. So pretty much we'll just go through this from start to finish. So first things first, switch. If you want to have multiple inputs, plug in your Fire Stick, your DVD player, your PlayStation, whatever, your Xbox, whatever. Plug that into here, and then make sure they're all powered, okay? Everything inputs here are powered. From here, your switch, make sure it has a power source. So mine has a power source here. And then make sure that, I already have it unplugged because I was trying, for the purpose of this video, or purpose of showing you, but so make sure you have an HDMI output here, and make sure that it outputs to your splitter. And then from the splitter, which will connect here or wherever your input is, make sure you plug in the output of this into the input of this. And then from the input of this, you're gonna have an outputs here. One of the outputs, make sure you have the output going to the video capture with loop. So that's gonna go into the input of here. Make sure that this is powered. And then once that's done, make sure HDMI coming out of the video capture loop down to the TV. And then also the USB thing plugging into your Raspberry Pi. Once you've got everything powered here, you step back a little bit, it should look something like this. This is everything you need in order for this to work. Okay, so basically what happens here, we'll just explain it again. Video signal from this goes into here. From here, it goes into the splitter, which strips off the HDCP, which is what you need in order for this whole thing to work. From here, it's going to output this to the video capture, which will allow it to read whatever is coming out of there, the input, the video, whatever's coming out of your Fire Stick. Once it's in here, it's going to then output it to the TV, along with sending the information of what it's capturing to the Pi. Now the Pi has the Hyperbion installed on it, and Hyperbion's like, okay, so on the top of the screen here, we have some red and blue on this side, whatever on this side. Okay, so now that we've configured the LEDs, they know that this is how many LED strips on this side, this is how many LED strips on this side, which side's left and right. So if it sees red from the USB signal, it's like, okay, I'm gonna display red on the top LEDs. And that is how the entire thing works. So just make sure that is plugged in GPIO 18, the 6th one on the top, and it is plugged into the middle wire here. Make sure it's plugged in the middle wire there. Make sure the power connections here are great. That's something I had a little bit of problem with. And that is pretty much the setup. Once I get everything cleaned up here, we'll go ahead and give it a test run. Okay, so if you've plugged everything correctly, everything is powered. Whenever you turn on your TV and switch to your input, the correct input, so for me, I switched to my Fire Stick input, it should be working. We'll go ahead and look from the back here. As you can see, it's already starting to work. Let me show you, like if I switch things here, so you can see that it's changing colors. So like now, there's a lot of this color on the right side. If I switch down here to different things, we'll go ahead and do a test video on YouTube. This is what I was using earlier to test it. We can just test to see the accuracy. So as you can see here, it is working flawlessly. Go ahead and look at the back so you can see how it's working here. Go ahead and look from different. And like, this is just a video on YouTube. There's all kinds of different videos you can use for this. See if I can find a different video in here that'll kind of show how it would look like. Here's like a collection of animals. It's just something a little more different. Sorry it's daytime, so you're not gonna be able to see near as good. But as you can see, it's changing very responsibly. And yep, that is pretty much it for this video, folks. If you like this video, or if you have any questions or anything for it, be sure to put a comment in the description below. I'll try and help you. This is for me, this is one of my more complicated projects for the Raspberry Pi. I've done several, but this is probably one of the more serious ones. But if you have any questions or anything that you need help with, I will try to help you. Like I said, I will leave links to everything I used, all my resources, everything I used to do this in the description below. And if you have any questions, just be sure to let me know. But other than that, thank you for watching this video, guys. Have a great day. This is Andy, and thanks for watching.